allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Leading off tonight, we have one of our favorite activities. It's a celebration and certification presentation by the chief for the fire department. And tonight, I'd like to recognize that we have a special guest in the hall. State Fire Marshal Stephen Cohen is here to support us all.
Thank you, sir.
A resident of our neighbor Stowe and a friend of our fire department. So,
That's right.
Chief, it's all yours.
Thank you. We have a couple things we're going to do tonight, and we're going to give out some badges for people that are being pinned. Those are new hires, those are people that are off probation now, and one of our captains that was promoted last January. We also have a service award for one of our longtime call firefighters, and we also have 2 unit citations to give out for actions to save a human life. And then finally, we have a years of service award for Jerry Byrne, who retired after 37 years of service to the town of Maynard. So let's get Sean Layton, Mike Park, and Captain Kiley up here, and whoever's going to pin you. Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, call firefighter Sean Murphy up here. Sean, this is to recognize you for 35 years of dedicated service with the town of Maynard. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Sean. We'll keep you around for a few more. Well, this is your service. Let's go.
Thank you.
The next thing we have is a couple of unit citations. The purpose of a unit citation is to recognize a group of people who've gone above and beyond in a call of duty in the effort to save a human life or at a fire or something that is just out of the ordinary. You know, I know a lot of people think that when we go to calls and you have things that happen at those calls, that's part of our job. And it is part of our job. Our job is to save lives and property and all that. But sometimes you run across a situation where it's just out of the ordinary and the people that are at that call have gone above and beyond. And we have 2 such occasions that have happened in the last year. Both of them happen to be Group 4, different members each time because of overtime and things like that. But we're going to recognize both of those events right now. The first occurred on February 4th. Members of Group 4 found a patient unresponsive, barely breathing, and with no pulse. Crew members immediately assessed the situation and began life-saving efforts. With the assistance of an ALS unit and a Maynard police officer, the crew was able to revive the patient and move to Emerson Hospital. I'm not going to give you any more information than that because of patient confidentiality, but that patient is alive today. And that wouldn't be the case without the efforts of this crew. So. Okay, Group 4. That night, Captain Sean Kiley, Firefighter Tim Gray, Firefighter Mark Pommel, Firefighter Angelo Wallace, and firefighter Sean Layton. Nicely done, thank you. Okay, the second involved, also involved Group 4, some different players this time. It occurred in May, also involved extraordinary efforts to save a human life. Conditions were similar to those in the one previously outlined. We had somebody not breathing, not responsive. The crews once again began life-saving efforts and were assisted by ALS and a neighbor. The incident this day was made even more difficult because our phone system at the station had just gone down. And we had that happen a couple times in the last year. The situation has been resolved, but you know, when that's happening and you have no communications, we had people on the desk making calls with cell phones to other communities for mutual aid and the whole 9 yards. So it was a very, very difficult situation, and the outcome wasn't quite as favorable in this long term, but in the short term it was, and their efforts still need to be recognized. So that day we had Captain Walter Latta, firefighter Tim Gray, firefighter Patrick Hinkey, who's not here, firefighter Angela Wallace, and firefighter Michael Park. Okay, the last thing we're going to do tonight is, and certainly not the least, is we're going to recognize firefighter Jerry Byrne. Jerry Byrne has 39 years of service to the town of Maynard. He was appointed as a sub-call firefighter, which I guess we now would consider an explorer or something like that. And on July 1st, 1975, he was appointed as an on-call firefighter April 1st, 1977. He was appointed as a career firefighter June 1st, 1980. And he retired as a career firefighter August 22nd of 2014, and we're hoping he stays on as a call firefighter for as long as he wants to. So I'd like to recognize Jerry. Every department has one of those go-to guys, or a couple of those go-to guys that the chief has to count on to help him bail him out and do things for him when he needs it. And Jerry's been one of those guys, and I can't tell you how much I appreciated his help. Being from the outside, I didn't really know anybody here. Jerry was one of the guys that stepped up and helped right away, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Always appreciate it. Thank you all. We'll take a moment to clear out. Now we got the TV going.
Do we? Got one. That's why I was asking. The power was like
How are you?
if it's a power on that or if it's
Not on. It's still not.
no.
39 years. How many you got, Ken? Close to 30?
39 years old.
5, yeah. Yeah. A long
There you go,
time.
that should be
Really,
good.
yeah.
I'll be there another 20, so I'll have 50.
They cap out at 65, so.
Oh. There we go. Excellent, thank you.
Henry Questa.
Really, you should be in the middle. Most important thing, folks.
Try.
We can do that next time.
Switch it up again.
Miss out on the beautiful seal.
All right, well, thank you for that ceremony, and we'll begin our other agenda items. We open with public comments. Do we have anybody in the audience who wishes to comment? Hi, please. Step forward and state your name for the record, and let us hear what you have to say.
Hi, I'm Martha Chagru, and I'm the crossing guard at the intersection of 117 and Tiger Drive by Green Meadow. And I'm here tonight to try to advocate for an expansion of the parking lot at Crow Park, because it's inadequate for the parents who are dropping off their kids at school. And I've been crossing guard for I think 7 years now. And at the end of that parking lot, there is an enclosure that maybe at one time was a
Skateboard park.
yeah, maybe, but I thought maybe before it was a tennis court, I don't know. Anyway, and then it became a skateboard park, and then it became nothing. And it has been nothing for the whole time that I've been a crossing guard. It would be so easy to expand the parking lot into that area, were it not for the fact that that land has been designated by the state for recreation purposes. So what I would like tonight to have the selectmen, or however it works, start that in motion, so that, I mean, I'm the only one here tonight, but let me tell you, I've had, over the years I've worked as crossing guard, I've had so many parents come to me and say, where should I park? And I don't know what to tell them, because there's no place for them to park. Especially on Fridays when there's early release, but just on a day-to-day school basis, there's not enough room. So people park illegally. Sometimes they park at Maynard Motors, which Maynard Motors doesn't care for. Sometimes they have to walk blocks to find a place to park, and therefore are late picking up their kids. So I would like to see the Board of Selectmen move on this and try to get the designation changed. Kate Hogan's here tonight. She's a go-to person for the state, who might be able to change the designation from recreation to enlarge the parking lot. I don't know how difficult that is. I do know that it's wasted space and has been for a decade. So that's it.
Okay.
Can you tell me if you will be able to move on this?
Well, actually, it's a good reminder, because it's come up, geez, probably 3 or 4 times in capital planning discussions and other discussions, and every time we said, oh, but it's that state action issue, we kind of just said, we'll work on something easier, but
Well,
I
the
think,
state can't do anything until
we
the town
ask.
does something.
yeah, we have to ask, and Kate can move mountains for us, so.
No problem.
We'll have,
Thank you, Kate.
we'll have some discussion on that. It won't be tonight, but it'll be soon. Thank you very much. Any other public comments? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to know what is being done about the so-called pocket liquor licenses. I still think that you folks should take some kind of action, because The 2 licenses that are in pocket are not producing any revenue for the town. And quite frankly, I wonder about, are they really, is that really something that should be done that way, considering you have a certain set of rules whereby a license is issued? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I'll note on that one that the license renewal process is beginning very shortly, so it is certain to come up at that time.
What is a pocket?
Oh, a pocket license is we're talking liquor licenses that the town issues to restaurants and package stores, and a pocket license is an inactive one, that, business closes down, but they still retain ownership of the license, but nothing happens to it, and pocket has to do with basically just an inactive license that people want to make more active. So, but there's an annual renewal process, comes around every October, November, and that's usually the time where we discuss whether to renew the license or take the license back, as it were. Okay. Item number 3 on our agenda is acceptance of minutes, and I got a couple questions there. Jason, I had sent comments on the September 2 minutes, but I don't see them in the edits.
Did you send them
You guys-
Did you send them directly to me, Bill?
Send them to you and Becky, you as clerk and Becky as assistant.
Okay.
I don't know, I have a record of sending it, but, so I asked that we defer action on that, and I can retransmit, but
I
I can
just
give you a
found
hard copy here of the changes.
Those were the August 19th ones?
No, those are September 2.
September 2nd ones. Are you all set with the August 19th?
Actually, I'm not all set with the August 19th minutes.
You're not?
No. So I'd like, why don't we just hold off on,
All right, well, I'll simplify things. We'll defer the acceptance of minutes till next meeting.
we'll get those resolved
All right?
then.
And pardon me if I keep looking at the clock, but we have a liquor license hearing scheduled for 7:15, so try to do that in a timely manner. Next up on the agenda is correspondence, and I move that the board accept correspondence items A through S as listed in the agenda for the September 16 meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Thank you. The motion passes 3-0. And we have a consent agenda as the next item. Involves a block party request on Balcom Lane and Paul Boothroyd going back to the Historical Commission. And do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as written in the meeting agenda.
All right, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
A second. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right, the consent agenda passes 3-0. All right, now we have some requested appointments. Historic Commission and Council on Aging. Do we have those appointees to be in the process? All right, why don't you come up for just a second? You can both take a chair, it's fine.
Good evening.
So, you're offering to serve on the Council on Aging, is that correct?
Yes.
And could we get you to state your name for the record?
Anita Dolan.
Okay, Anita,
Carol Milliotto.
very good. And, Carol, if you could just tell us about your interest in the committee.
Well, I was on it 3 years before, and it was like requesting a brick wall. You couldn't get any answers, you couldn't get any questions, you couldn't get anything. I notice now the COA is going forward much better, and I would like to be part of that.
Very good. Thank you. And Ms. Dolan?
Can I just say ditto?
Did you also
You
serve?
cheated.
Did you also?
No, I didn't. But I spoke to Andrew last week,
Mhm.
and I've lived in Maynard for about 18 years now, and I just thought I would be a help.
Very good. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the board?
More comment than question. I'm very excited about the, the efforts that we've made to bring the Council on Aging back alive. And as you probably know, we're making progress on finding a spot that might not be a long-term, forever spot, but a spot that's much better than where the Council on Aging is currently. And I think the entire board is proud of the efforts that we're making and appreciate, the assistant town administrator's efforts on getting us there, and the efforts of the board and the new chairman that the board has, and everything else. So I'm very, very excited about the steps that we're taking to take some action on some concerns of the seniors. And thank you for stepping up to volunteer to help that process along.
Ditto.
That's my line.
Just thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank
All
you.
right. Oh, you have to sit down for a second.
Ah.
We haven't voted. Do we have any motions? Hint, hint.
Yeah, I'll move to appoint Carol Miliotto, 12 Summerhill Glen, to the Council on Aging for a term expiring June 30th, 2015.
All right, I'll second that. You have any further discussion? All in favor? 3-0. Okay, you have seniority now.
Now we could say ditto, I guess. I'll make a motion to approve or to appoint Anita Dolan, 2 Chance Farm Lane, to the Council on Aging for a term expiring June 30th, 2016.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor? You're on, 3-0. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Did we already sign these?
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll see Ken.
All right. We have a request for a one-day liquor license at Clock Tower Place. Do we have the applicant here? Thank you.
One point of order, Mr. Chair. Are we skipping over Ken Newhouser's appointment intentionally because he's not here? Or?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. I did speak to him, sorry to interrupt, but I did speak to him on Sunday and then sent him an email subsequently suggesting that he be here. I know he's very interested, and I think he's downstairs, perhaps, because he was talking about going to the meeting, but I don't know. Paul, do you know if he's downstairs?
No, I don't.
No? Okay.
And the meeting's at the library.
Oh, so he's probably at the library. So, anyway,
That's right, I wasn't fully taking it off the agenda, but I thought we'd take it up after the.
okay,
liquor
that's
hearing.
fine. I don't want him to be forgotten because he was interested.
Oh, he'll
and
never be
He
forgotten.
wasn't certain that he needed to even be here, so.
All right, we have a request for a one-day liquor license. So if you can introduce yourself and your request.
I'm Eli Schellhorn, the owner of Boston Bean House. I'm going to be taking over the cafeteria over at Clock Tower Place since next time is left. So we have, on October 4th, we have a dinner party. It's the Maynard class of 1969 reunion. And actually there's 5 classes there. I'm 69, 70, 71, 72 or something like that. It's surrounding years. They're combining the party. And I'm going to do dinner for them, and they requested to have alcohol. I was surprised.
Okay. And just to confirm, the hours are 6:30 to midnight on Saturday the 4th.
That's correct.
All right?
I got one question. I'm certainly supportive of the effort to allow them to have their celebration. But I thought we approved another one-day liquor license for the same organization down at the, perhaps it was for a different event for the same organization. Is that correct, Becky?
For the Elks?
Yeah, we did it for the Elks, but I thought it was Remembering Maynard Owens reunion for, and this is the same group?
No, it's not the same group.
Oh, not the same group?
No.
Oh, okay,
Two different.
okay. And as I said, I have no problem with it, just wanted to confirm what that was all about. Okay.
Okay. Jason, any questions?
Just, I assume you like tips trained servers and,
Yes,
okay.
and and crowd control managers.
Is there going to be a detail from the police?
I don't believe so. They haven't mentioned that to me.
And do you have any idea how many
Number-
people you're expecting?
The numbers changed, only as of yesterday, it's gone down. They came out that there was gonna be 200 to 250, and then yesterday, as far as ticket sales, they sell less than 100,
Okay.
so.
And I would note on the license, the police details required if there's 200 or more in attendance. And it does note the tips training requirement and that they're going to be using the patio space as well as the cafe space footprint. Kevin, anything to add on the staff?
No, that's what I was gonna add.
Very good. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve a one-day all alcohol beverages license to the Boston Bean House doing business as Clockworks Cafe. That being license number ODL 15-Boston-1000414. Authorizing beverage delivery on Friday, October 3, sales and consumption Saturday, October 4 from 6:30 PM to midnight, and return delivery on Monday, October 6. So do we have a second?
Second.
Jason's got it.
Jason's got it.
Thanks.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
No.
All in favor? Okay, passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Very
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
See you later.
Passes down for signature. All right, the hour being 7:15, we have a public hearing, and I'll start off by reading the legal notice before I open the hearing. Legal notice is hereby given in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, as amended, that a public hearing be held on Tuesday, September 16, 2014, at 7:15 PM in the Michael J. Gianotis Meeting Room of the Maynard Town Building on the application of a transfer of a wine and malt alcohol as a common victualler license from Mina LLC to Nargis Inc., doing business as Roasted Peppers at 65 Main Street, Maynard, Mass. And I call the hearing to order, and, hi.
How are you?
Please state your name and your request.
I'm Jim Morris, current owner of Roasted Peppers. And we just request the transfer license to Muhammad Khan.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is a sale of the business?
Yes, it is.
And the business will retain the same name?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. I'll open up to the board for questions.
Just if you can tell us a little bit about your history with running businesses and,
Actually, this is the first time the liquor license. I have history with the other businesses, the pizza place, but not the liquor license. This coming the first time.
okay. Are you tip certified at this point?
This coming Sunday, I have appointment, so.
Okay, and the staff will remain the same as it currently is? And I'm sure that most of the staff, if not all the staff over there is tip certified, so
Sure.
it shouldn't be a big issue for us.
No, and I've made them aware, as far as any out-of-state licenses, how, policy is to verify it with the police department, which we normally do, we'll call it in. So he's aware of that, also.
Okay. And my other comment is, Jimmy, thank you so much for what you've done for our community and the things that you've, you've always been there for when organizations go out looking for donations and et cetera. That's what makes Maynard special, and that's what makes Maynard what we are. And you've become part of our community, and thank you very much for that.
It's a little bittersweet.
I'm certain that you'll carry on the tradition, and we will have just as much cooperation and enjoyment, and the residents that go there regularly, like myself, will enjoy still going. So
That's all part of the training, it's not just the recipes.
yeah. So good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Jason?
Jim, real quick, you just mentioned as far as you sort of passing along some of the policies. Do you have any written policies or anything like that that you're handing off to the new
Nothing
owner?
written, we have like a log of any, issues that we've had. Fortunately, I think because of the policies that we've had, we haven't had any issues. Like I say, we work well with the police department, so anytime there's anything like that, we'll always, call them and seek their assistance.
Okay.
All right, and Mr. Khan, what brought you to Maynard?
Yeah, I like the place, the area, nice area, town. So hopefully maybe be better than him, but I don't think so.
You like the pizza?
Maybe try, yeah, maybe try to help, the people, whatever I can do, the best.
Ah,
So
very
hopefully
good. Well, thank you.
I cannot beat him, so he was the best.
Kevin, anything to add from staff?
No, the board has the complete application in Dropbox, and at this point, everything checks well.
Very good. All right, I'll open up the questions from the audience, if there's any questions about the liquor license. Okay. There's no more. Anything further to add on your end? No? Okay. Well, that being the case, I think I'll make a motion once I figure out what it is. I'll make a motion for a transfer of license, ABCC license number 067600038. Licensee to Nargis, Inc., doing business as Roasted Peppers, with the manager being Mohammed Khan. And that license transfer is from Mina LLC to Nargis, Inc. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Anything further from the board?
Is that date effective?
It has to be
immediate?
approved by the ABCC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the local approval date is tonight,
Okay.
on the 16th. Who knows when the state.
And just to confirm, for the masses watching on television, you're not planning on changing the menu at this point, correct?
No, we're gonna add something in there.
Yes.
That would have been a no vote, so good.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor? Very good. Passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a
Nice
good
job.
night. Thank you.
Luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
And,
Jimmy, don't be a stranger around town.
No, I'm gonna try to get them for free pizza every now and
All
then.
right.
All right, I'll officially close this hearing at 7:21. Do we have paperwork on that? Is there a signature page?
143.
Oh, we sign there. Gotcha. And where are the locals over here?
Yeah, the locals.
Like buying a house every week.
Right. You already signed. Okay. All right, well, we now have Representative Kate Hogan here.
Yes, you do.
today. And we asked you here on behalf of Selectman Gavin and others to talk a little bit about senior issues and specifically senior tax relief. and
Okay.
The idea of what Sudbury did to give a local initiative to give some tax relief to their seniors.
To seniors.
Well, thank you for having me here this evening, gentlemen. I am very glad to talk about senior tax relief, senior property tax relief. It was interesting because when you asked, I went back and looked through the Sudbury's experience, and it is very interesting, and I think it might be something that Maynard would be interested in looking at. When we talk about senior tax relief, we, of course, want to note, first and foremost, that it began in 1999 with what's now called the circuit breaker law, and it was adopted as a new procedure to meet the needs to provide cash credit to any taxpayer 65 or older, and of course it's all based on means test, which is income and home value. This could be the amount necessary to reduce what people thought would be the tax burden with going up to $1,000. It really varies town by town, city by city, and what folks agree to do. It's a very successful program and has about 85,000 seniors using the program. However, in some towns, it still leaves folks with a significant burden. So what the Sudbury program aims to do is reduce the tax burden of the targeted seniors to 10% of income after they qualify for the circuit breaker credit. The new tax exemption program was approved by the town and the Commonwealth, so it will be a process that begins with you folks, with the assessor, everyone sitting down and sort of deciding that you want to do the program, move through a town meeting for approval, and then petition the court to make, you know, it will become a bill and it will be passed by the legislature, starting in the House and moving to the Senate. And it really, it works for them. I sent to, and I don't know if it was your proper emails, it was to some emails.
I was able to forward it.
We
Ta-da!
didn't really look at it.
So this is sort of, what I sent you was the means-tested exemption, senior tax exemption progress report from February 2013, which it was passed a year before. So they have 1 year of information in here, and it's really not only a how-to, but how it turned out, and the process they went through, what worked, first-year results, and then in the back it also gives you a list and dates on how things progressed. You can see in some of it through the state legislature that it stopped a bit. There were changes. As it was the first bill of its kind, I'm sure it was a bill that saw some changes as staff looked at it, as lawyers looked at it, as general counsel looked at it. But it came out on the other side, and it looked like it was, as had been anticipated by the Board of Selectmen, by the Board of Assessors, Council on Aging, Finance Committee, working with their state representative. And I believe also Senator Jamie Eldridge worked on this project as well. So you'll have someone that was also part of the process for Sudbury. So it is, I would say it's one of a kind. It's very interesting. I know that they went to town meeting a number of times before with other proposals that failed. This one seemed to do very well. I think it almost had unanimous approval because of, and indeed probably, the process in which they really talked about exactly how it was going to work. It's really just arithmetic. It does not put too much of a burden onto the folks that are still paying their property taxes. It looks like it starts with 0.5%. The first year it goes to 1%. The second year, it also looks like it talked about somewhere around 200 and odd folks that would be eligible. Of course, in the first year, not everybody used it, and it may be the case that everyone wouldn't use it. So I think it's a worthwhile program to look at, and I would recommend doing it, and to at least have the conversation, and then have the conversation at town meeting and see what it might work out for senior citizens in Maynard, if that's what you're looking to do.
Thank you, Representative, for that summary. You probably are aware we've already taken action as a board here in Maynard to give some relief to seniors on their water rates.
Yes.
We initiated that probably just, a couple months ago, and
Expanded it a couple.
expanded it a couple months ago. Sorry. So then the interests of the seniors and when I speak to seniors here in Maynard, the theme is very common, that they need some, first off, they want some attention, which I think we're providing to them, and they also want some relief on their taxes. So the initiative that is being taken here is to try to look at opportunities that might be available that already exist and we can model ourselves after. So thank you for the summary. It's much appreciated, and I hope we can use you as a resource as we begin to go forward. I know we can use you as a resource as we begin to go forward, so thank you.
And it does look like the arithmetic will be very interesting. I mean, it's not apples to apples, I think, when you're looking at Sudbury and looking at Maynard. So even how much the shift would be might be less than what looked like 30 the first year, 60 the second, on a tax of a property tax of about 6,600.
Yeah, I think it's interesting in the summary that the average homeowner in Sudbury after the implementation saw an increase of $45 on their taxes, yet the benefit that it gives to those that are really in need is so significant that, the way does it benefit those that need. And so that'll be the discussion, I guess, that we have here at the board.
Great.
So, Kate, just what's your idea of how long it might take under best-case scenario?
Well, it was really interesting because they did do a nice graph here of exactly, it looked like they started in, around April 12th of 12, and then looked like they came around to the 13th. So it looked like there was a process there that you might be able to circumvent, in that you now have a law on the books. You now have a home rule from Sudbury on the books that you can look to use as a model. So it looked like they spent a great deal of time, both through the assessor's office and probably with general counsel in the legislature, making sure that all things matched as they should against general law and amending general law. So it's hard to say, but I would think that, we might be able to do it within a session, certainly, and probably within a year. Though, one never knows. But again, it's been through the process once, so.
Mm-hmm. And say, for example, if we pass this at our annual town meeting in May, I'm not saying it's even going to be on, but if we did pass it, where's the legislative cycle at that point in late
Well,
May?
first and foremost, a home rule and bills of this kind would not need to be filed. They're ongoing, so it's not looked upon as that the session has already started with all the bills filed when you have these kinds of petitions to the courts, to the general court. So when it comes, and then we just begin to move it through the process. So that is not a problem, and we're back in January. So whenever it happens after that, we're there. So.
All right, well, thank you. Jason, you got any questions on this issue for Kate?
No, I appreciate you bringing this forward, Representative. Obviously, having just received it, I'd like to take a look.
Yes, it's really informative. Kudos to Sudbury for having this as a resource, because there's a lot of information that can be gleaned from it before you even begin to look at legislation or look at moving forward with petition.
Very good. Thank you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you may know, Maynard has been looking at other senior issues, and David mentioned earlier that we're going to present to the special town meeting in October a request to fund a renovation to the golf clubhouse in order to move the Council on Aging and Senior Center activities over there on an interim basis anyways. And so I'm curious on the state side whether there's any other senior-related initiatives that we should be keeping our eyes and ears open for.
I know that there's the Senior Safe program that was started, which is about senior fire safety based on the student fire safety program in terms of it being education and focusing on certain groups. Are you in particular saying, is there funding around for
Oh, no,
senior
I wasn't looking
centers,
for funding.
or-
I was
Oh,
just
okay.
looking to see what good
I
things
just
might
like
be
to
coming
be
out of
clear.
it.
But now that you bring it up,
Oh, there's a little out there.
I hate to say that 80K is short money, but
well,
it's worth it for our seniors, so I'm
Yeah.
not too worried about on that end.
well, we should talk.
2 years down the road, when we're looking for a new building,
Yes,
okay.
okay, understood.
But in the meantime,
And
just
then it
curious
is
what's going on in
recreation,
state.
so CPA may come into play.
Yeah.
But, so there is that. I mean, one of the things that I will say is that Council on Aging and all of the programs that are funded from the Council on Aging, home care for seniors, all of the things in the budget, as the chair of the Elder Caucus, I oversee lobbying for a lot of those issues. And what's happened is we have been able and have come back from serious budgetary issues, as you know, 2009, 2010, it was this for the economy, and in so many ways it affected all programs. It wasn't even, in some ways, the ability to take from some and leave others untouched. It really, everything was affected by the economic downturn. And now, as we make a very careful recovery, we're seeing funding for programs increase. Home care for seniors, now there are no waiting lists, which is really something that when you see the waiting list makes all the difference in the world. The ability to fund the COA, it's now $8 a senior. At some points it had been down very, very low, and that's critical to our towns. That's actually local aid to our towns in terms of getting the money to seniors and to senior programs. So the funding has been critical in terms of it coming back and being able to send it off to our towns over the last 2 years, specifically with the 2014 and 2015 budgets that were just, passed consecutively. So over the last 2 years.
And pardon me for not quite knowing, but I know Kevin speaks about the changes we've done in senior transportation and the regional coordination. I don't know if you had your fingers in that pot or not.
There was some, yes, we attend, my office is active in keeping aware and attending the meetings for the Crosstown Connect so that we know what's happening as we move forward. Transportation will continue to be a huge issue. As you may have gotten some in the mail recently talking about a gas increase that was required for maintaining roads in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as well as our bridges. I've always been used that as a way to talk about our lack of public transportation, and that as we talk about the need to maintain and develop roads and bridges that bring us into the 21st century, we also have to develop our transportation system, and it has to reach out to our communities. So that is something that I'm very committed to. There's also going to be a commission that kicks off this year, probably late fall or winter, called the 495 Metro West Edge Communities Commission, and I won't go into it in great detail because I know you have much on your agenda, but it was something that I was able to get passed in the legislature this year, and it will basically be an investigation, a commission where you have many, many, many people sitting on it with from different points of view in our region, both 495 and Metro West, looking at what are the resources and monies and investments that need to be made in our area so that we're able to enjoy a lot of the same kinds of investments that are being made to gateway cities. Because in many ways, a town like Maynard or a town like Hudson have a lot of the same issues as those gateway cities that have been heralded as being able to turn, if you can turn those around, we're going to be headed in a good way towards the 21st century. And we need to do that with our own infrastructure and with our own towns as well. So I'm hoping that this commission gives us a way to talk, but more importantly, a way to ask for things that we need from state government to bring resources to our area. And one of those, for me, will be transportation, and transportation, so.
Very good, thank you. Kevin, you got any anything to ask Representative Hogan?
I
I'm sure you have a big, long list, but let's stick
Yeah,
to
again.
senior issues maybe.
Yeah, I do have to follow up with you on something outside of here. But no, I'm just getting this now, need
Yeah,
to
that's good.
digest it. Just making note of what is different, is that this actually is similar to other exemptions, is tied to income eligibility, which is not the case for the water sewer. And looking at the analysis of that, it's just a matter of you live here and you're 65. I also think the uniqueness that you have to live in town for a minimum of 10 years.
10 years.
And
Yep.
things like that. So
Yep.
definitely want to take a look at this closer and play with the math. The only other thing I was going to ask you if you were going to be in attendance at October 2nd at the transportation event for Magic
Yes, I would hope to be.
in Devon's.
I would hope to
Okay.
be, yes.
Which I'll provide an update to the board on that as well. But
So-
other than that, no, thank you for joining us.
And I'm also very excited to be serving on the Maynard Economic Development Committee as well.
Yes.
And anything that I can provide, as a state resource to make things move more quickly is exciting for us, so.
And if you'd like, and I don't want to put you on the spot, if you'd like to talk about, just touch upon some of the highlights of this past year's session that you want to bring to our attention so that you can, just tout what the legislature has done for.
We have done an economic development bill again in this session that really focuses on industries that need a little bit extra push. We also had an increase to the minimum wage, which is, I think, really critical, and I think that we see those states that have taken that on and actually passed an increase have seen their job, the capacity for hiring actually increasing. And so I don't believe that that ever really hurts jobs when you're doing it in a responsible fashion and raising it over a 3-year period. And I think it gives, it's an important marker, I think. We also passed a gun bill, very, very proud of that. There was a great deal of negotiation, so much so that I feel that it's probably, again, a model. And so much of our legislation is a model for the country. We were able to bring together gun owners and their groups together with gun violence folks and those people that have a very different approach to what they're seeing on their streets. We're able to bring everybody together and actually come to a very important crossroads. We're able to agree on a bill that does get background checks and also provide some common sense changes that gun owners were very appreciative of, where they can get lost in a pile of paper. So I'm very proud of that. And in many ways, it was a very, very productive session. You'll see the water infrastructure bill as well. Senator Eldridge was very prominent in that. And so there are many things that came down this year that I think will be both models to be used by other states and also essential to us moving forward and out of the recession and into a very productive Commonwealth that is healthy and moving forward. So,
Thank you, and thank you for all that you do for Maynard and for your constituents. It's very much
Absolutely.
appreciated.
okay.
Mr. Chair, it's probably worth, since we've moved beyond seniors,
Okay.
just to note and thank Representative Hogan again for efforts on particularly that's affected Maynard specifically, the Acton Concord Street project with
Yes.
DOT and getting funding, securing that $300,000 funding for that project. And I'm going to follow up with you hopefully this week
Absolutely.
moving forward on some of that. So it's another great initiative in this past year that Representative Hogan's been able to secure for the town of Maynard.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
And I can, what I can do too is provide you, I thought we were just going to talk about seniors.
Yeah, I
but I'm
didn't, as I said, I
happy
didn't want to
to-
put you on the spot. I
No,
just
no,
wanted to-
but I'm happy to provide a list of things that have happened, and actually I'm sending out a newsletter soon, so you'll get that too. And
Thank
that
you.
will sort of list things out, as we, probably in the next couple of weeks, so,
Great.
Very good. Well, thank you very much.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon.
You will?
Talk to you.
I'd like to revisit the appointments and Ken Newhouser's request to join the Historical Commission. And even though he's not here, I could attest to his interest and qualifications easily. So if it's in the, okay with the board, I wouldn't mind considering the appointment
Yeah,
without the interview.
I agree. Yeah, I know he's taken some, I believe he said it was master's level courses on historical preservation and related type issues. And certainly has an interest in Maynard and in preservation of our historic issues. So I certainly don't have any concern with him being on that committee.
Yeah, I think the specific reference is he has a Master of Science in Architecture, which is a degree I find very tough to get, and focused on enhanced building energy and performance in the context of historic preservation.
Right. You can't get much more in line with the type of stuff we would be looking
Yes.
for from.
Yep, good.
He's also a member of the Green Communities Committee as well as the School Building Committee, just to add that.
Yes.
So we know he'll show up.
So we know his commitment to the town.
Very good. Jason, any thoughts about that?
No, I don't have any issue.
Okay. I'll make a motion, therefore, that we appoint Ken Newhouser to the Historical Commission for a term expiring June 30, 2017.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 3-0. Let me just get this signature out of the way. I think that's our last signature for today, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, next up on the agenda is the Golf Course Reuse Committee. We just talked about the golf course. Thank you.
Hey, Mark.
Kevin,
How are you?
good tonight. Gentlemen,
Good
how are
evening.
you tonight?
Thanks for coming.
It's another chair, Adam.
Adam, you can come on up too. Come on.
Camera can't, gotta get you both. Just a fair warning on the discussion. I know we were given a slightly modified report in our packet or in our Dropbox, but I don't think anybody's looked at it enough to decipher what's the difference, so maybe you could highlight
We will.
the additional work effort.
You didn't have a chance to read 31 pages in the
I
last
read,
half hour?
no, there was a, I think Kevin gave us the focus on option 2 as the one. So I was able to read option 2. I did not read the others and see if there was any changes there, but I did read option 2 because it was brought to my attention by Kevin, so.
And another thing, you could look at this as a, a dress rehearsal for your 5-minute presentation at town meeting.
5.
I thought it was 2.
I thought it was 35.
I don't have no idea. Please, go ahead.
Okay, you are right. The majority of the changes in the report are in option 2 to deal with the clubhouse, perhaps the modifications that might be approved in the Council of Aging, a new facility for them to meet at. Well, thank you for giving us, our committee, another opportunity to present our recommendations to the board this evening. We appreciate the support and the input the board and town officials have provided to the committee throughout the entire process. We have made some additions and changes to our report since we last met on May 7th. The committee evaluated 4 potential options for the use of the property. Details of each options are presented within the report. The first option maintains its existing land use as an active, successful golf course. If the board is in favor of this option, we would suggest considering a longer contract offering for potential golf management suitors. As you are aware, a new RFP will need to be drafted in the coming months. The second option recommends additional uses of the golf course facility and land by residents that do not play golf, with minimal impact on golf operations. This option includes the possibility of renovating portions of the clubhouse to accommodate town meeting space, perhaps to be used by the Maynard Council of Aging. The third option, which should be implemented cooperatively with the golf course management company, reclaims certain portions of the property by reconfiguration to create flexibility for other recreational alternatives without disrupting golf operations. One of the modifications, fairway left on hole 8, would not be a drastic change to the course layout and will provide the town with a good measuring stick of various failures and successes during land alterations. The fourth option details redevelopment of the entire property for non-golf uses while recognizing the CPA restrictions and guidelines placed on the land. The committee recognizes that there is no one perfect option for CPA-approved land uses on this town property to satisfy everyone. The needs of the community change, resources fluctuate, and the ideas generated from numerous active participants during the initial process, especially if representing dramatic and/or costly changes to existing land uses, may not represent the best fit for the community as a whole in the long term. The committee also recognizes the need for slow, thoughtful change with strong leadership provided both by the town and community-based organizations for implementing any modifications. We feel strongly that a combined four-option evolutionary path is the most fiscally responsible method of land planning for the current and future benefit of the community, and this represents our recommendation. The first phase of our recommendation would be to move forward with a longer contract with a golf management company, as well as making appropriate improvements to the clubhouse to construct a new meeting space for groups and activities.
Okay.
So the majority of our changes are in option 2, to keep the golf course as is with shoulder uses being non-golf season events and improvements on the clubhouse to provide a new meeting space for interested parties in town. We have small changes in other sections and a couple suggestions about moving forward with a longer RFQ to sweeten the pot, shall we say, for other golf management suitors.
All right. I'll note that one of the things we're going to be considering later tonight is possible moving forward an article about the golf course contract, and the current suggestion is asking town meeting for authorization to do a term of 3 to 7 years. Is that consistent with your committee's recommendations?
Yes, it is.
Very good. Check that one off. Any other comments?
No,
from the board?
as you know, you guys have done a tremendous amount of work over a lengthy period of time, and it's very much appreciated. And you know, the one thing that I've consistently heard is that the current management group over there has kept the course up, and if not, made improvements on the course to make it now where I'm hearing from a number of people, Maynard and outside of Maynard, that that course is coming alive again. And so it seems to me that we've got something here that if we give it more time is going to become you know, even more of a gem for us if we just are more patient with it. And the fact that we've been able to find a use for the clubhouse beyond just the clubhouse use per se makes it even that much more valuable to us. And the open space issues in the wintertime and everything else is just, to me, it's something that we've got to continue to just, as I say, be patient, continue to go forward, and continue to be confident that this is the best thing for Maynard. And I like option 2, and so I'm with you. Thank you.
Things have seemingly fallen into place the last 6 months with certain developments, one of which, as you said, the golf course hasn't looked better in the 3 years that it's been run by Sterling Golf Management. A lot of that has to do with their new superintendent they hired and his energy with his staff, and he takes pride in that. Prior to, they had a superintendent that left in mid-September, and the course did, in 2013, suffer because of that. And we recognize that it will be difficult for us to give, in the 2.5 years at this point, to Sterling to do modifications and improvements on the course, not knowing if the course is going to be that in 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of money that funds we've been giving are to improve the clubhouse, and that makes complete sense. But now that we're at the point that if there is going to be a lengthy new request for quote proposal, perhaps some town funds can go to improve the grounds as well as the clubhouse going forward. Not necessarily 2015, but
Yeah.
down the road we could start to work with Sterling or any golf management company to improve tee boxes and fairways and bunkers.
And I no longer play golf, so it's you know, the fact that whether it's a golf course or whatever is not self-interest, but rather just the interest of the community. But beyond that, I think the way that we approach advising and educating the public about what the plan is for the use of the clubhouse with the senior center, because some of the initial reaction is, well, how do the seniors fit in when the golfers are there? And that's all been discussed and will be discussed further, where there really won't be that type of a conflict there. It won't be a problem. At least that's the way it appears at this point. So I think we have to make sure that we do our due diligence in educating properly to make sure that people understand, and the alterations that are being done to the clubhouse and how that will affect what's in there now, and how it, you know, it's not going to be what people imagine because they only know what they know is there right now.
Right. That back half of the clubhouse is really not seen by the public.
Yeah.
And this does provide tremendous opportunity for concurrent use where neither side will really notice the other, but you know, will allow for even larger events, and not just Council of Aging. Any investment into the clubhouse for Council of Aging, even if it is a 3 to 5 year plan for them to occupy the space, that space can be reclaimed by other community groups or used by other community groups going forward.
Yeah,
so.
and those that are familiar with the clubhouse and familiar with it, they think to themselves, well, how can this work? There's locker rooms back there. But the locker rooms are what is going to be changed around. So it's not going to be locker rooms there. And so it can work if we give it the opportunity and educate and explain and, you know, really have it worked out. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah, the locker rooms haven't been used since it's been no longer semi-private.
Yeah, right.
And I like how it's twofold, that they're doing improvements, i.e. the deck, that most good clubhouses have a deck overlooking the final green, and that we can actually incorporate that in the improvements at the same time when we're doing ADA compliant egress, and doesn't every building that's of that age need improvements on HVAC? And that's another big portion of that budget. So it would be wonderful to see if those funds can be approved during by the board.
Yep. Great work, guys.
One question. So, alternative for 4, forgive me if I'm using the wrong terminology. Option number 4. You've looked at reuse, non-golf reuse, but under CPA, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so there has been no, and again, I'll apologize, I don't know exactly what the charter was for the reuse committee, and whether it did or did not include non-CPA uses. If the town were to
sell the land,
repay the CPA, and then go in a different direction for the site.
That was not part of the charter.
No, that was not part of our scope. Yeah,
yeah, it's a little bit wide. I just want to,
We'd still be working.
yeah, whether or not, if that had been.
Could look in consensus on that.
Yeah. One thing that we have done a lot of research on is the most less impactful option 4 would be conservation land and getting a conservation restriction, say, with the Sudbury Valley trustees. Yep. And I've spoken to a couple people over there about grants and state and federal level, and educated myself if it ever came to that. That seems to me to be the most viable passive recreation if the course doesn't stay a golf course, that it becomes a park. That may be supported through a conservation restriction through the Sudbury Valley trustees, and they're interested in the land, obviously. But hopefully, how that we have it laid out, that is something we might want to discuss 10, 12, 15, 20 years from now. Really depends on how successful the golf course stays and how much it's going to cost the town to maintain it.
Kevin, anything from your end?
No, again, I just echo Selectman Gavin's, compliments on your efforts. I know we've had meetings in addition to when we thought the report was pretty much done, and continued efforts and discussions, and appreciate the work you've done. I know that specifically on the conservation restriction stuff, that's still kind of hanging out there as a final piece for the CPC to look at and do, but there's some discussion of trying to carve out the clubhouse out of that restriction and some of that stuff, but no, I agree with the recommendations we've discussed.
Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you both.
Great. I have a quick question. When it comes to the RFP that's going to be written, who is involved in that? I'm just curious.
Andrew is actually working on a, sort of a template, if you will, working off of our previous one, and we certainly can involve the reuse committee to look at it. I think specifically around the golf specifics, you guys bring in expertise that the town we may not be thinking about, and our discussion was certainly was with the Board of Selectmen, between my office and bouncing it back to you guys and see if there's things we're missing. But yeah, we're starting to work on that now in anticipation of it being approved.
Do you have a date that you want it completed by?
We were talking about getting out on the streets early winter. But the current operation agreement ends December 31st, so it sounds positive with the current operator, Sterling. They seem to be different than they were in December, January of this past year. They've had a successful season this year, and they're very much motivated to continue there. So I think there'll definitely be that interest there, and we'll see who else. But
Great.
Also, too, hopefully some of those improvements that we have done at the clubhouse could increase potential revenue sharing opportunities. If we invest in the clubhouse, there is a direct benefit to the town. Not only the deck, which I've never been to a golf course that didn't have a deck that overlooked the greens, but that addition could help enhance, some, as well as the carpeting and dance floor replacement, and the investment in the clubhouse. You could have a direct benefit back to the town as well, with food and beverage and function halls, and hopefully he's looking at increasing rounds of golf, putting more effort into that. So those all are good things for the town.
Can I just ask an administrative question? So the next step is for us to present at the town meeting, and would that be the point where the Board of Selectmen or the committee report would be accepted finally, and then dissolution of the committee and things like that, or just some of the logistics around that?
That's an excellent question.
Yeah, that was the thought.
I think that presentation is the acceptance,
Okay.
and
Correct.
then the acceptance is the dissolving of the committee.
Correct. As a final report, there's no other charge.
I believe you'll be one of 2 or 3 committees that will
school
effectively become dissolved after the town meeting.
I don't know if the
School
school
building committee was going to,
are they going to be ready for fall?
school building committee?
Yeah.
Or,
I don't know. They hopefully they will.
that's just with Phil Berry was gonna just come in and
He was here
he
two-
made his
2 weeks ago.
presentation a few weeks ago, and he said it was gonna
Okay.
be the same presentation.
Well, I have a meeting with municipal building consultants. And we'll make sure. I just from a formality standpoint, it may need to stay in
need to
place.
stay
It's been
on.
on that committee a long time.
I know. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm saying it may end up being pushed to the spring, depending on, because we haven't done an MSBA closeout yet, and that
Yeah,
could throw
but we can
off-
talk offline on it, but
could throw
I
that
thought
off,
that,
but-
what was remaining was stuff that was within the purview of the town administrator's
Yeah,
office
hopefully.
to approve, so therefore there was no
Yeah.
need for the committee to exist, but if we need to exist, I don't wanna,
Yeah, I'll probably know with more certainty Thursday.
okay.
So, but yeah, that would be the intention, and be probably one of a couple that will give a report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, next agenda item is discussion of articles for the special town meeting. And question for you, Kevin? There's
Yes.
a hard copy sitting on our desk this evening. Is that different than in the text versus what was in the Dropbox?
No,
Okay.
no. The only thing that was added in this hard copy, you also have a PDF of it in the Dropbox too. The same thing you have as a hard copy, is the appendix related specifically to zoning maps. That was the only addition that's reflected in here, as well as another last minute article potential that I can discuss at the end.
Okay.
But yeah, no, all the language that's in the individual articles have just been moved into one document.
All right, so let's just move through these in sequence. And Control A is the home rule petition for special legislation concerning liquor licenses and our request to the general court for 6 additional licenses for restaurants and 1 for package stores. And I don't think this is any different than what we saw before. My only question to you, Kevin, is the last phrase in the main body of the article where it says, the Board of Selectmen is authorized to approve amendments that shall be within the scope of the general public objectives of the petition, or to act in any other manner in relation thereto. That kind of broad language always worries me some.
Yeah, this is language that came directly from town council, and then they have since reviewed it again. It's.
Do we really need the broad caveat that selectmen can act any way they want?
I guess what we would need to hear is what is an example of where we would need to act at all. 'Cause certainly it wouldn't, I don't think the board should be given permission to say, okay, we want to make it 24 instead of 6. I don't think that,
Yeah, I don't think that's the intent.
I mean, the first part of that sentence, like, oh yeah, you got little stuff, you got typos you got to fix, and
Right.
yeah,
this little
within the
phrase
scope,
you're
and
supposed to
it's
say.
within the scope. It's within the the clear intention. It,
Okay.
So just concerned about
I
that.
don't think this board would act outside the scope anyway, but it prevents it.
Yeah, I think a lot of times with the legal language, if there's an opportunity that doesn't necessarily tie our hands and it's legal
Yeah.
or allowable,
There might be
it
some
becomes
unforeseen
standard
reason
language.
why it's in there, because, if something
Yeah.
gets screwed up, you don't have to go back to town meeting because there was something that was wrong that we
Right.
could do on our own, and I understand that. But I understand Bill's point.
Jason, you got any comments on Control A?
No.
So, I'm gonna make a motion that we move this forward as a warrant article, but I think I'm gonna ask at next meeting if Kevin's found out anything about that
Yeah,
last
no,
little
absolutely.
bit there.
And it'll be adjusted as to form as far as typos, because I see in the heading, legislation is spelled wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, so I make a motion that the board move forward Control number A as a article on the special town meeting warrant.
So it's a move to approve and accept, is that the
Move to approve and accept, yep.
second?
A motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, thank you. All in favor? Motion passes 3-0. So, first article, pass it on to FinCom and town clerk and all that other stuff. Control B is the amendment to the nuisance bylaw, and I have a couple of questions, but I'll kick it over to the other members to start any discussion. Jason, you got any comments on this?
I've not read it in this form, so I'm gonna
Just,
It's no different than last time, right?
yeah, just to make note, I can highlight the difference, is specifically the building, where it addresses the building commissioner, used to prior say the building commissioner or his or her designee, and now is reflective to say the building commissioner or the town administrator's designee. I have to find out where that is. That has been amended.
Well, the definition of enforcement agent, and actually that was one of my questions, because under definition 6, it mentions the town administrator's designee, but elsewhere, it's silent on a designee, and other places, it says the building commissioner's designee. And I would be looking for consistency, for one.
Yeah.
And checks and balance for another, so I would,
Was
I like the
changed.
designee being the town administrator's designee.
Yeah, it was changed somewhere else, I thought.
But for example, where's his, her designee? Yeah, there it is, on, section F, penalties. Right in the middle, it says, "The enforcement agent or his, her designee shall enforce all provisions of this bylaw and shall institute all necessary administrative or legal action to ensure compliance." So I would think the intention is that would be the enforcement agent or the town administrators. Well,
Yes.
actually, you know,
Or
the enforcement
the-
agent's redundant because it's defined as building commissioner or the town administrator's designee. So I expect in that case, it would strike out the designee reference.
And leave it
Simply
as
say
enforcement
enforcement
agent, yeah.
Matter of fact, it probably would say enforcement agent in
Agreed.
most places.
Yep.
I mean, and it does, you know,
Doesn't,
for example, in D4, it just says enforcement agent.
right,
So
Yeah, as well
specifically that section F,
as well as section F in other subsections. It just says enforcement agent.
yeah, so, I mean, I think there's a little cleanup on that one, but not much. I have another bigger question here, but I'll go to, David, if you have any comments.
No, my comment is, it just seems, I think I've mentioned it to Bill before, it just seems so lengthy for what started off as what we thought was just addressing really a minimum amount of property. I hate lengthy legislation, but if council has suggested that this is typical of these types, and it will help us in the future to avoid having properties that we need to be able to address, so be it.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm a little struck by, you know, replacing or, you know, something that's a couple paragraphs long now becoming 8 pages long, or whatever it is, but seems a little redundant. But,
It has been scaled back, too.
Yeah.
yeah, I know, well. But my question is really in regards to, penalties and appeals, and specifically in section F, subsection 2 and 3. Subsection 2 says enforcement agents shall have the authority to waive or reduce any of the penalties at his or her discretion. And then, let's see, in 3, the enforcement is at the discretion of the enforcement agent in order to go to a non-criminal disposition. And then section H has an appeals to the Board of Selectmen within 21 days of a decision issued hereunder. But I'm just trying to figure out, can the person petition the Board of Selectmen for a waiver or reduction of penalties, or the non-criminal disposition? Or is that strictly up to the enforcement agent?
Yeah. I mean, they could, I mean, the actual penalties inconsistent with, it's pretty consistent with 21D language, up to the enforcement agent. The Board of Selectmen doesn't get involved in that with any of the other bylaw pieces. And the actual appeal, I mean, those penalties actually are after the fact, so after the time frame of which they would have exhausted their appeal opportunity. So they could appeal, and the Board of Selectmen could say, okay, I don't find this has merit, and there wouldn't be any penalties. But after that time frame, they've already exhausted it.
Really? I'm seeing a lot of instances where that would not be the case. I mean, a person could be, this requires somebody to actually know they're supposed to do this stuff. And even people who are, living in Texas are supposed to know they're supposed to do this stuff.
Right. My point is, you can be assessed a penalty, but it's not applied until after that 21-day time frame. Because if I write a 21D ticket, you have a 21-day to appeal it to the clerk anyway, clerk magistrate, at which time nothing is triggered with the court department until the form is submitted.
Right, but
by
I'm
the
talking
enforcement
section
agent.
8, the appeals to the Board of Selectmen. So if I get whacked with a $300 a day penalty for 6 months of not knowing I was supposed to do a form, and I come to the Board of Selectmen and say, hey, I'm good with the form, I just wish I had known, I really don't want to pay 18 grand in fines.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that the Board of Selectmen has the ability to say, no, you don't have to pay. I'm seeing that the Board of Selectmen can say, yes or no, you didn't fill out the form on time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see that the Board of Selectmen has the ability to reduce the
I
fine.
see what you're saying.
And I really don't want the enforcement agent to be, the sheriff and the judge on those things. Certainly not the only one.
Well, yeah.
So I would like somebody other than the enforcement agent to have some say, meaningful say in appeals of penalties.
Well, they can appeal the penalty directly to the court in all cases.
Yeah, but.
If you don't pay it, regardless of what the Board of Selectmen say, it's heard before a clerk at the court, who is the ultimate waiver of any fees or penalties that are assessed.
They wouldn't have to go to the court if.
If the board
they petitioned
waived
the
it
Board of
first.
Selectmen.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I mean, this thing just strikes me as having way too many unintended consequences on people and a relatively arbitrary enforcement mechanism or an arbitrary application mechanism, application as to who it's applied to. So that worries me. And
Yep, I think you make a good point.
I don't like that section 2. I mean, if it said the Board of Selectmen may have the authority to waive or reduce, that's fine, or somebody else, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think in all cases, the enforcement agent has the authority, but it could be in addition to.
Or if actually, I don't actually, suppose I mind that the authority agent has the authority to waive or reduce if the person has the ability to appeal to the board, if the reduction is denied.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's the intent of H. I don't know if the wording actually says that.
Yeah, because I'm not sure that's a decision, well, I don't know. It'd be nice if it just said it more specifically, so, 3 years down the road, we don't have to go to council to get an interpretation.
Yeah, I think with a lot of this it's specifically vague, because there's a lot
Well,
of variables. And
I
the
sympathize
question
with
to
the,
make
with,
more restrictions on the town side of things with enforcing.
I sympathize with the out-of-state, landlord, not that
Mhm.
we're, I would much prefer to have local landlords, but, and in-town landlords. But I can sympathize with that, as to Bill's point, if somebody has no clue that, you know, that they're supposed to be doing certain procedures, and then they get hit with a $300 a day fine for 6 months. And all they do at that point is go to the enforcement agency, the enforcement agent rather, who will tell that person, pay us and appeal.
Yeah, I mean, usually in any case, there's always notice before penalty. So you're given notice to correct or come in, and if you fail to do that, then, you know, why shouldn't the penalty be implied?
Well, the notice is only 7 days,
Yeah. It's a piece of paper.
which doesn't really help the out-of-state owners.
Yeah, I you know, it's a matter of how, I mean,
And keep in mind,
this is
They could
consistent
post-
with several other
I'm
communities.
sure it is, and, you know, but I'm also concerned with where this person in Texas, it says following an order to remedy such violation, the served upon an owner or local property management company in person by registered mail, return receipt requested, or by posting said notice at the site.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So they could put up you know, the enforcement agent could go down and put up, you know, here's your notice that you're going to be fined, and the person's in Texas.
Yep.
And,
That's the way it works right now with any state sanitary code violation. If you have a owner of record and it's undelivered and it's
Yeah.
returned back as undelivered, proper delivery is posting at the last known place of abode or at the site, the actual location. So that language is consistent with other state statute stuff.
Well, I
As
can
far
understand-
as given-
I
as
can
far as
understand
given
that in a
notice.
failure to deliver, but this is an or. You don't even have to try to deliver.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, that's a problem. I could,
Fortunately, all of our problem landlords live in town. As of now, a lot of them.
Too much legalese.
yeah. Let's see. Just trying to figure out what text to use.
Well, do we, rather than spending tonight rewriting this, do we want to give each of us a chance to rewrite it again? Or at least not rewrite it again, it's not what I meant, but give our thoughts and see if we can we can compile everybody's thoughts and then come back.
All right, well, I'll suggest that we hold off and move on, because if we were to do that, it would require us to meet again later this month before the warrant closes, which we may have to do for other reasons, but maybe not. So let's move on to Control C and see if we can roll through these a little quicker. Control C, prior year's bills, $19,819.58.
The article is not
From free
required
cash.
to note the specifics of the unpaid bill. That just comes out in the discussion. Kevin?
Yes.
Okay.
Could it though? I mean,
Could.
why not? I mean, people are gonna look at it on the warrant and go, why don't we just tell them? I mean, it's gonna be in the comment anyways. If FinCom does a comment, so can't we just say it somewhere in that article, or, fiscal
Well,
year?
after the dollar amount, you can fiscal year 2014, the amount of 19,819.58 for the purposes of.
But I don't even like the phrase fiscal year 2014. Fiscal year 2014 what? It doesn't even say it, just says fiscal year 2014. What does that mean?
I mean,
That's-
last
Fiscal
year.
2014 operating budget?
No, free cash.
No, that's where it came from.
Yeah, that's what we're asking for.
Appropriate, that's fine, that's understandable, but it's being appropriated as follows, fiscal year 2014 in the amount of 19 grand. What the hell does fiscal year 2014 mean?
Yeah, that's just the money. That's just the money that's coming out of free cash. The bills were from 12 and
I'm
13.
talking about the appropriation.
Yeah, but I think this is semantics, but we know it's free cash,
It's coming from key cash, it says that.
and fiscal year 2014 is free cash.
We know that, it says
It's
it in the
19
beginning.
and it's
Free
19,000.
cash until July 2014. But I'm not talking about I'm talking about,
So you're saying,
where's
what-
the money going? It should say, where's the money going?
Yeah,
It
and
says,
it will-
where's the money coming from, free cash, how much, 19 grand, where's it going? It doesn't say where it's going.
so you think the second paragraph or the second sentence should be allocated to such and such line item or whatever?
Well, the sum of 19,000 to be appropriate as follows, and then after that colon, it should say where the heck it's going, and right now it doesn't. So where's it going?
It's going to an attorney, tax title attorney.
So why don't we pay it? Why don't we say that?
We could. I've never seen a prior year state who we're paying
I have.
Well, it will,
beyond the comment section.
it'll be in the comment section anyway, presumably, and it will also have to be stated during the presentation at town meeting as to what it's supposed to be paying.
Then it has to be part of the warrant, the article.
So,
You gotta say why you're gonna spend it in the article.
and that's fine, so,
Why don't we say why we're gonna spend it? To whom? I mean, what we've done before, it's like, oh yeah, we own an N-Star 20 grand because we forgot to read the meter. You know,
Mhm.
that's what we say. So it's to whomever it's for. It is what it is. I mean, we gotta pay the bill, so we might as well say. But what would we say in that case? Who is it for?
tax title attorney.
D'Ambrosio and Brown, PC. I mean, if you're looking for the vendor that's getting paid, you know, like you referenced N-Star, it would be listed as D'Ambrosio Brown, PC, as the firm that's owed the money.
So,
Yeah.
I would not object to having it just say as follows, colon, D'Ambrosio and Brown, 1958. And during the presentation, we say it was tax title attorney who did some additional work for us, and, or whatever led to the unpaid bill, and so be it. Does that work?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You follow that, Kevin?
I do.
Take out fiscal year 2014 in the amount of, and just put D'Ambrosio and Brown, colon, 19,000. So I will, with that amendment, we'll make a motion to approve and accept Control C
For the special town meeting.
for special town meeting.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? Sorry about doing that one long, but all in favor? Okay, votes 3-0. Control C is moved to the special town meeting warrant. Control D is transfer of unexpected balances in prior year articles. Specifically, a vote to transfer a $700,000 balance from a roof repair article from 2013 and allocating that money to 4 different purposes. Question to you, Kevin, are those numbers exact now?
Yes.
'Cause we were kicking 750 around last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. They wanted to have a little extra room there. They're still doing some repairs.
So they're not quite done with the repairs, but they know it's
Yeah.
nowhere close to the
Correct.
amount that they were.
Well, I'm pretty confident it's gonna be right around 100 or so, which, no real harm at that point. If it's, you know, if it's 110, we're gonna be in a bad position. If it's 95, we're gonna close out with 55,000 extra when we just close the article out. So, just give them a little bit of a buffer to breathing room, depending on where the final stuff comes out, but we're certain it's not an additional 700 on top of that.
Okay. And, on this article, could we spell out OPEB? I forget how long that is.
I know what it is, but I can, yeah, I can spell it out.
I don't know what it is. I forget.
Other post-employment benefits?
Yeah.
And then capital stabilization, that's,
If they remember the last two town meetings, they'll see the same acronym.
well, we can give door prizes if they get the quiz right, but.
Yeah, that's how it's been listed when we usually do it from free cash allocation, just as the.
If we could just spell it out, because it'll save half a second of this, the presentation.
So that's easy enough.
And it will avoid a
You need
question.
us to
And it's
spell
going to capitalization.
COA too?
Oh, nice.
Or do we know that acronym?
No, don't spell that out.
And it's capital stabilization fund, is that what it's called? I forget. Or is it just capitalization account?
Yeah, it's capital stabilization fund.
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve and accept Control D for a special town meeting.
I'll second. We have any, further comments? Okay, motion to, approve and accept. All in favor? Motion passes, 3-0. Control D goes to town meeting. Control E, which I forget what it was, is not here. Control F, they're still working on that, right?
Yeah, we
They're
can't-
gonna have that figured out, what's their meeting, the 23rd?
23rd, yes.
So both F and G, they
G.
have to act on that night in order to get it for the warrant?
Correct.
Whoa. So there's nothing for us to give to FinCom on that one.
Correct.
Control H, contract agreement for Maynard Municipal Golf Course. And I noticed that, we were talking about a 5-year base last meeting, but you have a suggestion that the permission be 3 to 7 years, is that,
Correct. For 3 or more years, but not greater than 7. This doesn't look like, because I remember changing
I
this.
will make a motion to accept and approve
Look that up.
Control H for a special town meeting.
I don't know why that.
yeah. Hang on a second. Did that text change? No,
Change,
beyond the term?
well, it used to say 10. You mean from the prior?
Yeah.
Yeah. Used to say,
5
For-
to 10.
up 3 to 10 years or something like
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
So
All right, so we have a motion, and I'll second that motion to approve and accept Control H for the special town meeting. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Vote 3-0. Control H is now on the warrant.
I didn't see your hand go up.
I did, he raised his hand. Control I, lease agreement for Summer Hill Tower. And, article to lease land on top of Summer Hill for, wireless communication facility, for a period of up to 25 years. And, my question there is the same as on the first one, the note of, or to take any other action relative thereto. I don't know, I mean, I guess that's a little less broad than the first one was, but I kinda always wonder why we don't have it figured out what we have to do before we ask town meeting for permission to do it.
Yeah, well, I think, again, I think where we have the ability to put it in there, because it's so cumbersome and bureaucratic to get, if there's an issue that needs to be addressed that's within the purview, we don't want to tie our hands to, so it's left in there just as a, sort of a general statement.
And this is an existing facility, right?
Is an existing facility, I think the first contract we entered into was in 1986. We then filed an extension to it, which lasted for 11 years. It actually expired this past, I think somewhere in June 30th. And then we've given them a month-to-month extension, because it does have to go back before, just the timing has to go back. But that's standard, that's a standard duration contract for any of these things. We know it's an infrastructure that is the town's infrastructure. It's got the town repeaters up there on Summerhill Glen. It's not anything that we're going to be in the near future or even 20 years from now doing anything differently up there. The benefit to the town is that it's maintained by CTI Tower, so if there's any maintenance issues with the tower, any repairs, they handle it, as well as by entering into a longer-term contract, the town sees a direct benefit because they're able to engage in other vendors to get on there. Currently, who's on there right now is AT&T. Their intention, once they have a longer-term, an actual contract executed, and for something more than 15 or 20 years, they'll be able to get, hopefully, Verizon Wireless, T-Mobile, and Sprint also onto that tower. The benefit to the town is that we have a share of that. There's a 20% built in there. We have a fixed monthly payment for the actual land, which has a 3% escalator built into it, and so forth. So it's generating revenue for us for something that is an infrastructure for the town that we utilize as well, and will continue to. So used to be, the original agreement we had was with Comcast, and CTI Towers, which is located in Franklin, has negotiated with Comcast to be sort of the owner operators of these towers that once belonged to Comcast when they got off of those systems and gone to fiber optics and all that. So
Maybe you said this and I missed it, but how much revenue has this generated annually? What's the lease for? Is there an actual dollar amount?
yeah, I have the exact amount written
Is it
down.
a substantial amount?
It's
or-
something. It comes out to something like $1,800 and something a month, as well as 20% on the AT&T revenue share.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fairly, it's good money for us as a lease that we forget about and don't have to
I'll make a
maintain.
motion to accept and approve Control I for a special town meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion about Control I? Hearing none?
One of the other things, go ahead, sorry.
Huh?
I'll go after.
Okay,
It's not relevant to the motion.
okay, I'll make move the vote. All in favor of the motion? Motion passes 3-0. Control I is now an article on the special town meeting warrant, and send it on to FinCom.
So, Mr. Chair, the only thing I was going to add to that, just so the board's aware, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room with the monthly lease amount, if you will, other than having that 3% escalator built in there. But we're trying to be a little more creative and because we're able to get a 25-year agreement and get more vendors on the tower. But we're trying to look at, as they add vendor 2, 3 type of things, to try to get some one-time money, which wasn't in the current contract. But we're looking at ways that we can, that the town can benefit, the Best Buy. And what we're able to probably work through is, as they add potentially vendor 3 on, the town could get, say, a $10,000 one-time monies for whatever type of thing. So we're looking at playing with some of that and trying to get that revenue opportunities where we can.
Yeah, thanks.
So
Question for you on this packet, this insert, what's this for?
that's the zoning map part of, that's the appendix of G.
G.
That's the Acton Street project.
Correct.
Is on the first map. The second map,
What is the
Why
second?
am I staring at Clock Tower Place with it? I don't understand. Is this just a 2-page, no.
No, this is a different area. What is the second, this one, Kevin?
Which one?
That one?
The big color
That's
one. The other two I understand.
The colored one's reflecting the industrial
Just showing the zones, but why do we have it?
Oh,
Pretty.
yeah, it is
I
pretty.
like it.
Yeah, it's probably just it's probably the scale that didn't get scaled right. He probably gave us the wrong side of it.
Or you just add it, I mean, the other two make sense, the other
Yeah.
seem very helpful.
Yeah, the other two, although helpful or not, like, we can't utilize this as the actual, we actually have to have the actual zoning map. So I don't know, I'll have to find out what's going on with that. I know there was some discussion back and forth with the town planner and town council today as to which map we needed.
I got you.
I think we got the other half of one. We'll get that squared away anyway, before, but there will be a reference map that will be part of that article, assuming it moves forward from the planning board.
And in the article packet, the last page, acquisition of real property interests, rail.
Yeah, so this is the,
What is this?
this just came in early this evening.
Is this ours, or is it somebody?
Yeah, this is actually, the summary is, essentially it's not gonna change. You'll see that it does say Acton, and for the most part, the summary is not gonna change, other than going from Acton to Maynard. But this came in to us.
This is Acton's,
This is Acton's
article.
article, yeah. And they, when they had the kickoff meeting yesterday, they, I guess it came up that our fall town meeting, the acquisition of properties for the purpose of constructing the rail trail, that we should try to get this on our warrant if we still have time. The attached warrant authorizes the selectmen to acquire land for purposes of the Aspet River Rail Trail for our upcoming town meeting, essentially.
the one question I would have is under the summary where, are we prepared to say, they say it will go from Acton to the Maynard town line to the South Acton train station. What's our definition of where we're looking to,
Yeah, that's getting written tomorrow.
oh, okay.
From the Acton town line,
To,
X
yeah.
number of miles through Maynard to the Stowe town line.
Nothing's changing in the first piece of it.
Right.
The summary is what's
Right.
gonna get,
Okay, so that's being written tomorrow.
this
We don't have to
passed,
define specific streets or anything that it travails along.
this was reviewed and vetted by Acton's town council. Again, I just got this in my office at like 4 o'clock today.
All right, so that tells me we need another meeting next week, and we were holding out on the 22nd. It sounds like we need a brief meeting on the 22nd to bless your final version of this. And we can figure out what to do with the noise bylaw, or the,
Could we meet the 24th?
nah, somebody wasn't available that day.
Well, we'll still have the 2 planning board ones that'll still be able to.
We don't,
The 23rd is
accept them.
Tuesday, the 23rd is Tuesday.
well, we don't have to accept them. Do we have to accept them before close of warrant?
Yeah.
And when does the warrant close? I mean,
We
when do we
didn't
have, when do we have to accept them by?
Just that last,
When do we have to accept them by, is the question.
26th, correct?
seriously? Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I ain't here. We didn't discuss that last meeting for scheduling wise. We talked about the 22nd for us acting on our stuff. And then we talked about, we still haven't figured out how to do the final approval of the warrant, which
Right.
has to happen after the 26th. But I hadn't thought about, yeah, because that's why, because their hearing got bumped.
It was supposed to be the 9th.
That's why
That's
we
what
hadn't
threw it
thought
all
about
off.
it.
They weren't allowed to hold the hearing because of the election. And that threw it all off.
I gotta be in Bar Harbor by 10 o'clock on the 24th.
10 a.m.?
10 p.m.
On the
Otherwise I
24th.
sleep in my car.
It's a long drive.
4.5 hours flat on Sunday
Yeah.
morning, but
And they meet the 23rd?
Yeah. It'll be a long night.
whoa.
They have 3, I think 3 items on there. Acton Street, the supermarket zoning, and I think they even have Waltham Street.
No way. You can't be at Bar Harbor by,
Meet
I don't have to
first-
be there until 7 o'clock on Thursday morning.
First thing on Wednesday.
Oh, lordy. Yeah, well, but they won't be ready. Will they have it written?
It's already done.
Yeah?
The articles are, you have the
It's
articles.
written, right? All they have to, if they
Both-
just have to pick which one what they want to put forward.
Both articles have already been vetted through town council in anticipation of
mornings are very difficult for me.
them moving. Could the board do an afternoon meeting, late afternoon?
Would have to be, well, Bill has to be, you have to be there when, the 25th?
24th by 10
I'm
PM.
working at 7 o'clock on the 25th. I was in the hotel. Clerk goes home at 10 o'clock on the 24th. Ooh. Oh, it cost me a lot of money.
What would be the latest in the day, realistically? Because you're not going at 150 miles an hour to get there, on the 24th.
Yeah, you don't really want to plan that trip less than 6 hours.
So that means 4 o'clock you have to be out of here, which means we have to meet sometime before 4 o'clock and give us enough time to allow you to get up there.
We really have to do that before the warrant closes? We have to accept it before the warrant closes, even if they submit it?
How can we share it with
I don't seem to remember that.
the FinCom and we have it shown at town clerk, if you haven't?
Well, they're meeting again on the 29th.
And I'm not available the 29th. I have another meeting that evening.
FinCom isn't as big of a deal because I mean.
Well, not for the zoning, they won't even talk about the zoning.
Yeah, but they also have gone in the past and the warrant has closed and there won't be a FinCom recommendation on the warrant.
But we got all the money ones to them tonight, so that's fine. They should be able to act on that.
On the
Monday.
22nd.
Yeah, so
They already
actually
know.
They might get those comments by then, so,
They already know about the prior year bill.
yeah.
If we met early in the morning on the we met early in the morning on the 24th. What time would you expect we'd be out of here?
How about, excuse me. What's the earliest you can do evening of the 24th? I can switch hotels. I can find one that they're awake the whole night.
I should be able to be
Can
here.
I get out of here by 5?
I could get here by 5. I don't know if I could get,
That's fine.
but you don't know how much discussion we'll have. You don't know what, you can't just plan on coming in and saying.
Well, no,
yes.
that was the acceptance of the planning board articles. I mean, we just have to do it. We don't have a choice. If it's.
Yeah, you already have them.
in
I don't
current
anticipate
form,
them really
there's nothing-
changing.
There's nothing for us, if we didn't like it, we'd have to take it anyways.
So
It's just a procedural thing.
and we can't vote on it beforehand because they haven't presented.
Well, we can't accept it because
Can't accept
they
it, it hasn't
haven't
been-
decided to
Yeah,
submit
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I mean, we do have our 2 articles that we haven't figured out yet. And the question is whether
So,
We
act
said
on those
early,
on the
if we said
24th.
early morning Wednesday, the 24th, that would be the best.
That's good for me, but it's not
Work
good
for
for
you.
you.
It's fine.
I mean, I don't really mind.
I could get you out of here by 6:30.
I mean, I don't mind bugging out at 6 o'clock at night either, that's fine.
No. We'll do it early morning, and the earlier the better. I don't know if 6:30 is appropriate, but,
Up at 5.
although I could be here at 6:30, I don't know if that's appropriate.
Yeah, we all can, but.
I want to say, I'm willing to be here at 7. Kevin, you don't need to be here.
yeah, it's fine.
Well, that's fine, that'd be great.
Oh, 23rd, right?
24.
No, the 24th.
24th. Yeah,
7 a.m.?
Yeah, I'll be at planning board probably all night, so I don't know, maybe I won't come.
Just stay.
Yeah, we'll stay.
Just wake up.
Stay in your car and then
Your
Bill can
office.
stay in the
20
same car.
the
too. Set the
23rd
bed.
is
Make
gonna
the
be
bed. Bill can stay in it the next night.
23rd's gonna be a long night. Yeah. I mean, again, I don't know.
Well, they may adjust their schedule,
Who?
planning board.
Yeah, well,
They may push one of those things, because only two of them go to town meeting, one of them does not.
Yeah,
They may continue that. I'm certainly, they're not gonna meet until
Waltham Street.
2 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, worst case, I mean, I don't know, I mean, if we,
I can do it 5. I can do it 5:30.
No, we'll do it in the morning. Better for me in the morning.
All right, that's fine. And you want to do these last 2 articles then too?
The last two being,
The rail trail, which would get the final look
forget the
at,
final,
with
yeah,
like the non-Acton references.
yep,
And then the nuisance bylaw thingy.
yeah. All right, so we'll say the 24th at 7 AM. Is that okay?
Fine by me if somebody can get me in the building.
yeah, the building will be unlocked because it's a public meeting.
Chief's there at 6:45, so.
I promise to bring donuts and coffee.
Yeah, it's a
I'm on
public
arrival.
meeting that gets posted, so it'll be open at 7 AM. Because it's all tied to the
Okay.
agenda.
Well, that solves one problem, but then we have the other problem of approving the warrant.
Yeah, again, I mean, I don't know what we've approved the warrant before in the past without FinCom making recommendations and closing their stuff.
Well, that's fine, we just have to do it after the 26th, is the point.
All right. Yeah. And you're still not around, right, that 30th?
I'm even farther away. I'm at the other end of the coast.
Well, worst case, if we did it on the 7th, you know, it's a matter of our timing, and there's a little bit of a financial increase, but
We don't have to have the zoning maps in the public notice, do we?
no.
I mean, Action Unlimited has a pretty short timeline for
Can you change that?
things.
Yeah, we get in the
But
action, I don't know.
I don't
if
know, you know,
It's considered the official,
$3.50 a page. Well, it has full distribution, it's better distribution of everybody else. They hit every house. But, you know, it's $3.50 a page. So, I don't know what it is for the other guys.
yeah.
See your calendar again?
Yeah, this is September.
Well, what's our deadline for, what? Ignoring any constraints,
We're
what's your?
printing it in-house, so that's not as much of an issue, getting it to the printer. And then we have to have them available from working back from the 27th by the 9th.
We have to have it, what, by the 9th?
They have Right.
To be available by the 9th.
They have to be available by the 9th? I don't recall that deadline in the warrant. In the charter. Notice has to be posted 14 days, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
Notice has to be posted and advertised,
right.
14 days. What's that deadline?
Town meeting's the 20th, right?
27th,
27th?
yeah.
So we gotta have it on the
By the
13th,
13th.
Columbus Day, so before then,
So the 10th,
Friday the
So-
10th,
About the 9th?
or Saturday the 11th if it was Action Unlimited, but
And the 13th is a holiday.
yeah, it's getting a little close.
So to get it into Action Unlimited,
How the hell do you
I
delete
would
something?
need to send it almost a week before to get it in the Saturday paper.
No, you could send it on Wednesday or Thursday before. as a display ad.
Okay.
They have a short line for paying customers. But that's one option. I don't know what's the other option for, if you're gonna put it into Metro
Metro
West or
West.
something. What's that option? How much does that cost?
Do you know what that cost us?
Be about 1,000 to 1,300.
Oh, well, that's not,
We can
it's
make
cheaper
it,
than other
we
options.
can make it work.
What's their deadline?
Um,
Can we do it on the 7th? for
they're,
them?
they're a daily, so if we got it to them, we'd get them to them, what, the morning of the 8th?
That would be, yeah.
So they
Right.
probably,
Right.
time on the 8th. I wouldn't want to say first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
In case
Yeah,
there's
right.
any changes from,
we gotta get, constable, right?
yeah, I need a constable.
So I would think they'd be able to get it in by the 10th.
So we're confident we can wait till the meeting of the 7th?
Pretty confident.
Pretty confident.
Play like a team.
But on the 24th, we'll know for sure?
Yeah.
Should we play it like that? For the time being?
Yes, as long as we have the info from Kevin on the 24th, because he may not be here.
That's right. That's right.
I'll be here.
You don't have to be here, but. All right, yeah, let's do that. And I'll come back with my non-suntan from the Florida beaches.
On the
So
30th?
I'll be in 96 hours.
You're
of
out the whole week of the 29th?
I fly out the 30th. No, I fly out the 29th. I'm back at like midnight on the 2nd, so I'm
So
around on Friday.
Friday the 3rd?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I don't know, we still got options, but. You could all fly down to Pensacola, we could do it there.
Works.
You know, some good restaurants.
Okay.
Done?
Yeah, we'll confirm all that
Okay,
timing. Thanks.
all right.
So in the meantime, just ask the board to email me specifics as you go back through that blight bylaw, which has been the first article we've had for 3 or 4 meetings now.
That's right.
Nothing's really changed in that one.
Are we referring to it as a blight bylaw or a nuisance bylaw?
Technically,
It's
a
part
nuisance,
of, yeah, it's part of the nuisance section
Okay,
of the bylaws.
so it's an amendment to the, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah. What did we word the heading?
try and slow down a little bit there, Bill.
All right. Well, we got economic development updates, and Mohegan Sun's come knocking at the door, because they need a casino site.
I think they're gonna hold off and see what happens on November 4th.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, putting up some money though. All right, let me get my phone's gone. All right. Okay. Be fairly brief on the economic development stuff. Real quick on the Economic Development Committee, they continue to meet and develop ideas. There's a great group of committee members on that. At the last meeting, they elected Chris Worthy as the chairman of that group. Chris has been a valuable resource and has agreed to take on the chairmanship and move that committee forward. The next meeting is September 18th, actually at 5 p.m., which has been a change from their regularly scheduled meetings, which have been occurring on Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. They're meeting on Thursday, the 18th, at 5 p.m. A couple of the members, including the town planner, have met with Dave Griffin, our webmaster, looking at creating web space on the town site for both committee work as well as documents and, you know, public-facing information, data, and also to utilize it as a more expanded platform for branding and marketing the town through a direct. One example that I've seen has been something similar to Westboro. If anybody's had a chance to look at the Westboro Economic Development Committee, they have a homepage, you know, their regular Westboro town website, and if you go into committees, they have a one-page for the committee, but they also have a direct link at the top that says economic development. And when you go to that economic development, that has about 5 or 6 sub-pages, but there's a lot of marketing and branding, you know, why Westboro, those types of things, and that's really kind of the initiative that we're hoping to work on there. In concert with that, it's early on, we're looking at, they're looking at working with WAVM and some other folks at doing a script for a DVD, a branding, marketing DVD, you know, anywhere from 4 to 8 minutes, capitalizing on the, you know, the who, what, why type of thing. Something that could be utilized for potential companies that, you know, could be looking to locate here, as well as even just a simple realtor that could use it as a marketing tool for a residential sale. So they've got a really good script kind of going already, and we'll be working through the fall and winter with the WAVM program at the school. It's a great opportunity to collaborate on, you know, with the town stuff and utilize the resources that we have in town with WAVM. I think it's going to be a great project. Let's see, what else? Again, just the 4951 Waltham Street. That's been submitted. I know the board's had an opportunity to look at that for the special permit as a multifamily in the business district. It's a good, I think it's a good project for redevelopment and improvement of that area, and it's that's scheduled right now for the 23rd. It may, as Selectman Krill indicated, that may end up being continued and put off. But I think it'll be a good project and a good opportunity as we look at our number 3 community development principles for redeveloping and reusing. That's a good example of it. That's really it on the economic development updates. Any questions? Anybody else got anything they're aware of? Things are still slow on the downtown Walgreens front.
A question related to that. We had talked about our liquor license regulations perhaps being somewhat of an obstruction occasionally. And
Yeah.
I know that before he quit, Brendan was going to lead that effort.
Right.
So I guess my comment to the board and to Kevin is, should we continue to take a look at our liquor license regulations and see if they're constraining economic development, or you think we're okay with that? I mean, I would prefer to take a look at it. I'm not quite sure the best manner of doing that.
Us or the committee?
Well, I think it'd be really cool if the committee did it. That'd be great, in my mind. I think it's worthwhile.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I don't really understand how a potential business gets a license under our regs. And it happens in other towns, I know. So I'd love to see that.
Okay. Good.
Chairman's report.
I'll, Mr. Chair, if I could just on a couple of things under the TA report.
I'm sorry.
I'll keep it
I was like,
quick.
I was
Did
wondering when I was missing something.
Did we get
Sorry.
one, Kevin, from you? Did
No,
you
I don't
send-
have a written one. That's a verbal update. Just real quick, King Records, company you've heard me mention in the past, has been in town all of last week as well as Monday of this week. We spent 6 days looking at doing a thorough, complete assessment of record management needs, of which they're going to be generating a report to follow, and which we then will move into phase 2 with implementing that report and recommendation on cataloging records and in a focused record management system that we've been discussing for a while now, and very pleased with King Records and the work they do, and become highly recommended, having worked with just seems like just about every municipality in the state of Massachusetts. So we'll have more moving on that, and I anticipate that report again, which will have a complete assessment of the town's vault, the additional former mailroom, which is a storage room, the map room downstairs, map file room, look at municipal services record keeping, which includes the planning board, building department, as well as the public works, but more of a focus on the map room there, and looking at moving into phase 2. It'll be a lot of work, but it's going to be great once we have it and move us ahead. Something that's long overdue, to be honest with you. I'm sure the board is that's no news to the board.
Is this hard copy or electric?
The
Electronic files?
no, yeah, it'll be managed in a database. The files themselves will be hard copies. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I mean, what are they looking at?
Yeah.
Our hard copy management or our electronic
Both.
management?
Yeah, both. It's looking at both, and how, in the electronic side, how things are saved and all that. But what we're not doing is, we're not scanning in every piece of paper. That's what you might have meant.
Well, no, I'm wondering like emails and stuff, because I keep wishing someday we'll have a blind copy of all our selectmen emails.
Yeah.
And all that is archived, and how the stuff is archived from our committees and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know if we've actually discussed email stuff. I mean, it is public record, and we can request that through IT, which everything is. I mean, there is every single no email disappears. It's just a matter
No,
of
but management of a mess of emails townwide is different than management of emails that are archived in it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to include email. I at least haven't had that discussion with them about the email pieces.
No, thought it would come up.
Other electronic files, though, yes. As well as, there's a lot of duplication of records, where 6 departments have the same copy of one item, and the one that really should have it doesn't, i.e. the keeper of records. So that's really where it is. In cataloging, it's really, if that's the official keeper of records for the majority of documents, it'll be cataloged in a system where, it can be easily referenced and located, which currently doesn't exist. But I'll check on the email thing.
Yeah. Well, I'll count that effort under our board goal of communication, so.
Okay, good. The capital plan was presented to the school board on the 11th and was well received. Committee members had some questions, and that went well. Another item that was actually brought up, just so the board's aware of where we're at currently, Vic Tommel actually had brought it up at a prior meeting with regards to where we were at with the solar park project. Just as a rough dollar figure to give the board, as of August, we're looking at a savings of $83,724.39, and that accounts for roughly about 7 months of.
That's an annual savings thus far, so it's not fiscal year. It's
actually, it's based in since it went online, which was February.
Okay.
So it's the month of February through the month of August.
Okay.
Which is a
That's
total.
pretty good. I think that's.
It exceeds our expectation.
Those are the big months.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
They've been relatively.
it's pretty bad, quick after October, but.
Well, once
consistent.
school opens up.
Yeah, but February is not a big month. In March, we're going to be in. You figure if we have 5 months left, or if we're anticipating 100,000, we're already at almost 84.
That's a that's a great news story, and I think, I think we
Yeah.
should make that well known.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then real quick update on the street light project. Hoping all of the street light retrofits will be completed no later than November 30th. That includes the downtown retrofit of 38 Acorn post tops. Those are the ones in the downtown, as well as 12 globe heads, which are the ones that are located on the bridges in town. So there's a total of 50 retrofits there that will be completed. And then we're looking at another 245 Cobra head streetlights, which will be replaced by the end of November with LED Cobra heads. And the way that's going to work is it will be accounted for every street light on all the mains. So all the mains coming into town, so all of Parker Street, Great Road, Summer Street, Powder Mill will all be done. The focus is focusing on the mains, and then we'll have a complete assessment of the inventory, and then hopefully we'll have an opportunity to put in for some more green community competitive grant money. If not, it is on the list as sort of phase 3 of the capital plan. But at that point, just with this round, we'll have completed almost 300 light retrofits, which we're pretty close. We've done a considerable amount, and certainly there's a lot of mix. There really didn't appear to be much rhyme or reason with the last strategy for LED light replacement. So you'll see in various neighborhoods there might be 1 or 2 LEDs, and not in others. And so we really wanted to hit the visible mains, get all the main routes, and then we'll focus on the neighborhoods moving forward.
I was going to say, was it an as-needed approach?
To some degree.
One was out in a neighborhood, that was the one that got addressed rather than...
The original thought was, it's gone back and forth, but why pay them to replace the bulb when we're going to switch them over? So some of it is a result of that. Some of it was who had the biggest voice. So those who put up the most stink, they just they would replace them with the LEDs. So the strategy of leaving the street lights out didn't work. And to that point, at this point, we've currently 100% addressed all of the wiring issues, ballast issues, and we should have all of the street lights addressed, including the ones that have never been on down by McDonald's. Anybody has a chance to go over the bridge, a great road there by Mobile. Those 4 illuminated. I've never seen in my 5 years those lit.
One of the globes was always broken, so.
Yeah, so at this point, everything's live, and it's just a matter of now doing the retrofits. And
one question on that bridge, and I think it looks great because they've done the work. But are the color of those lights all the same? It looked like one was white and the others were green.
One is white. It has to do with the globe itself.
Oh, okay.
The globe itself I had asked the same thing. There's a coating film on the inside of that. Well, that's going to get addressed with the retrofit.
Yeah.
If you look at the 3, that has a more yellowish, amber, darker light, and it has to do with staining with inside the globe. Yeah.
I mean, my next question would be, that bridge was built in 1922 and is not in great shape, so I don't imagine that bridge will be there for more than how many more years?
Yeah.
Before the state comes in and removes it.
Right.
Massachusetts, so 40 or 50.
Yeah.
Another 40, 50.
And then it will take another 40 to 50 to build it once they get the approval.
Unless there's a crisis, and then they'll have every team out assessing all the bridges again and dams. So yeah, we're making great progress on those retrofits, and it's looking good. That's really it. Again, just a quick update on the Council on Aging. Plans continue to coalesce there. We've appointed 2 new members tonight, and there's lots of volunteer interest that hasn't been there, and that's just frank as a reality of some leadership changes that have happened, and it's great to see folks that had participated at one point became frustrated and are now seeing the changes that we're doing. So that's a good sign. We're also working on expanding outreach through Minuteman services without increasing any costs. Andrew and the chair, John Edson, have actually met with Minuteman Senior Services to discuss all the services they provide, and I think there's somewhere around 30-something communities And Maynard has taken advantage the least out of any of those communities. So we're looking at changing that and expanding outreach, through Minuteman. What we're finding is there's things there, there's resources there. It's just nobody's been utilizing them. So we're not as bad off as we may have anticipated, but we just weren't utilizing the services that existed, whether it be through outreach and expanding some of those things. So. And again, without increasing any costs. And then the transportation initiatives and management plans within the region are also being explored and anew as those move forward. Last thing, Magic is holding a regional transportation forum on Thursday, October 2nd from 9 a.m. to 12 at the Devon's Enterprise Commission, and it's a bring together various local and regional officials to discuss the value of transportation and discuss some case studies, in particular the successes and challenges of the Crosstown Connect TMA, which we're part of. So that'll be an interesting one. So.
Are you our Magic representative?
I am the Board of Selectmen's Magic representative, and Bill Nemser is the Planning Board's representative. Bill goes to every meeting. I go when it makes sense. It's really a forum made up mostly of planners and planning boards. They're obviously that type of forum, and there's one meeting a year that is actually geared specifically to town administrators and managers, because other than Keith Bergman in Littleton, him and I are the only ones that go. So they try to at least once a year get municipal managers to a meeting, and it's just for them and go over what Magic's been doing. But Bill goes regularly to every monthly meeting and provides updates back to me. So
Okay.
Yeah. That's all.
All right. For the chair report, a couple things. One, I guess actually, question back to you, Kevin, to confirm the school committee joint meeting to appoint the interim school committee member is scheduled for October 7th.
Correct.
It'll be first thing, 7 o'clock.
Yes.
And I noticed that the school committee has noticed on the website, people have to send something to them by the 26th or something or other.
September 26th is the deadline.
I assume you're getting copied on what goes to them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And that's, I've talked to Superintendent Girardi. He was going to get notice into the Beacon Villager as well as the Action Unlimited. It's been posted on the school website. It's been posted on the town's website as of early this evening. I've sent it out through my portal. So as far as communication, the notices have been getting out there.
Okay. I note that we were copied by our planner and planning board on Akeene Avenue filing. And I very much appreciate those notifications, although I note that the deadline for a comment from the Board of Selectmen would be September 30, which is impractical for us to deliberate and prepare a letter, and it may be impractical all the time in these cases, but I don't know, I guess my thought is that request of the board members, if you can mull over some effective way for the board members to be able to act on these things with a consensus of comments from the board, that would be preferenced. Of course, anybody as a town resident can respond, but right now I think the logistics are against the board acting as a whole in responding to those things. But if somebody comes up with an idea of how we can do that, I'm all for it. In a similar vein, I note that regarding policies and stuff, we still have outstanding issues with cemetery policies, I believe, and probably water and sewer policies. I'm gonna bring up at the next regular meeting, the idea of establishing maybe some permanent subcommittees, a la what the school committee does. And granted, most of their subcommittees are committees of the whole, but it might provide us a little more flexibility of getting that done, other than a Tuesday night. So just a heads up there. And that's what I got for chair stuff. I got a couple little around the horn stuff, but I'll yield first to you guys. I'll finish up on that. So, Jason, you want to start with old new business stuff?
Yeah. Mostly just to go over quickly on our DPW side. There was paving on, help me out, Kevin, Summer Street,
Summer Street, correct?
and where else?
No, there was milling.
Milling.
Paving will be happening, they're coming back towards the end of this week and doing raising. And I think paving will start sometime next week.
Okay.
The milling of Summer Street's first, and then somewhere in the next few weeks will be Acton Street and Parker projects.
Okay, so we should continue to,
Paving season.
We should
We won't be paving in November or
in
December.
December,
Yes,
when it's snowing.
yes.
Good. I know one of the questions I think that came up, and I think you guys reiterated this morning at the meeting,
PC.
was making sure we get notice out to people,
Yeah,
that the contractors have signage up
right.
prior to anything. I know this go-around has been better.
Yeah,
I know for whatever reason, the town was posting signage and.
yeah,
and I know that-
we've cleaned all that up.
Yeah,
and,
that-
you know,
that's-
the town in no way committed to doing any of that. It's just an informal agreement from prior projects when Lazaro has done, the DPW had handled the signage, but
Yeah.
moving forward, it's all on the contractor to make sure it's adequate.
Okay, that was my understanding. That's now being
Correct.
appropriately put on the contractors.
That's been driven home.
But they for these projects, there's a traffic management plan
Yes.
in place,
Yes.
written with
And vetted with,
staffing and signing.
and was vetted with the sign off and approval of the police chief. This one was a little unique because we also had to involve Stowe. So if anybody that had a chance to drive out on
Yeah, we're.
Yeah, I got blocked coming in
17.
there.
Yeah, they started a little early.
before 7.
They started
They
before
finished
7.
late.
And they finished late. But they started, I was going to take that left at approximately 10 minutes to 7, or 10 minutes to, yeah, it's about 10 minutes to 7, and it was
They
already
st-
blocked off.
off, yeah.
I was coming in at 10 minutes after 5, and I couldn't get in.
Okay.
And I had to hear about it on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
How am
I
I
mean,
gonna
some of
get
those
home?
were up against the contractors' deadlines, and, you know, my concern particularly with starting with Summer Street was the road race, although a small section, you know, milling that, and then the road race starting Saturday, but, you know, to some degree, it's the minute we kind of put up that road, you know, that barrier, then we end up getting bumped off, and we miss a paving season, or we're now third on the list. So we're trying to work through best with them in the scheduling, and they haven't been the best to deal with, to be honest with you, and getting commitments from them. This would have started 4 weeks ago. So,
Construction's like a Band-Aid, just do
Yeah.
it. And the other thing actually was some interesting good news that I guess I never really expected. I have taken up some use of the dog park. And I've run across
By
between.
yourself?
Yeah, just me.
Yeah.
Leave the dogs at home. I've head over a few times, as has my wife, and part of the goal there was to socialize both people and animals. And the interesting thing we're finding is that there seems to be a great number of people coming from out of Maynard
yeah.
who have pointed out that there's not anything like this nearby, certainly fenced in. And one gentleman even came in from, I believe, Wayland, and pointed out that he's relatively new to the area, has been downtown, thinks it's great, been shopping down there, so I think sort of an unintended consequence
Trickle effect, yeah.
of that was, you know, it is something unique to Maynard, and it's bringing people in. Now, maybe not a ton of people, but, you know, we do gain something from it other than just the sum of its parts. And I would have loved to have mentioned that to Adam, who was here earlier,
Yeah.
and is a
Maynard.
huge proponent of the project, and is out there probably daily taking care of that site.
Yes, he is.
That's it for me.
You should have mentioned it to Adam.
I see Adam all the time.
My turn.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm very much impressed and happy with our recent increased use of the media and the public release of information that is positive news and gives us, you know, the benefit of what we should be getting the benefit for. I think we should keep that up. I think there was something that came up tonight where I said, you know, get that out, get the word out, the revenue from the solar farm. But that type of news, there's way too much negativity going on as far as, you know, people talking about Maynard, you know, even our own residents, that we have to show that we are doing some good stuff here. So thanks for that, and keep that up. A couple meetings ago, we spoke about sending a thank you letter to McDonald's restaurant for, I think Vic Tommel brought it up as a suggestion. Have we done that?
We haven't. We were considering, it was put off. We're talking about maybe having the Economic Development Committee put it out, and it was too early for them to coordinate anything like that. So, you know, whether it comes from them or out of our office, we definitely will get something out. They may be at a point now where it could come from them and they could take it up, but just the last few meetings, it wasn't anything that they could handle as a business item.
Yeah. I'd like to have the Board of Selectmen sign it as a thank you, but
Yeah.
either way.
Yeah, I've publicly personally thanked them. I've saw them at the Boys and Girls Club event with the sheriff's office, where they donated several hundred cheeseburgers and French fries, and you know that was a very generous donation. But I also had the opportunity to thank the Wrights for what they've done down there, and personally. But the letter hasn't been.
Yeah, it really looks nice when
Yeah.
you come around, and when with the new bridge there, I mean, it's just.
They do a good job.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's a very good gateway coming down. Just as an update, my understanding was that the Historical Commission who was meeting tonight was going to be bringing up the topic of the naming policy that we talked about last time, just to see if that's something that is on their plate and if they want to get involved in that or not. So once I hear back what their discussion entailed and where it went, I will report back. Then lastly, in our packet, there was a letter from a woman named Laura Bibbo regarding an issue with her dog, and you know, I think it's the second letter we've had on that particular issue. More concerning to me is the comments that she made about the public service, or the customer service or lack thereof that she sensed from some of the town employees or representatives.
Dog officer.
The dog officer in particular. But it's very concerning to hear that, and I also think it's important to praise the fact she mentioned Diane Donovan as somebody who actually treated her quite well, and she was very happy with that. I did call Ms. Bibbo, and I spoke with her, and I told her that I was concerned about this, and that, you know, expressed my concern with customer service, and that is what we are in the business of doing. And she did appreciate my phone call. But again, it's just another reminder of, you know, that's what I mean when we can make Maynard look so much better just by doing simple things. It doesn't cost money. And treating somebody with respect and smiling, and, you know, smile on your face on the other side of the phone. We shouldn't be telling people, I don't know who to call when they ask a question. They're calling the town. I mean, I don't have to tell you, you understand, but the answer at least could be, I don't know, let me find out, and call the person back with the information. It's just, we hear this repeatedly and this is at least the second on the dog issue, and if not the third story on the same thing that I've heard. One that was not written to us, but rather just verbally. So I understand that problems can occur with, the way those letters went out or whatever. It's just how we react to a mistake that's been made is important, just as important, if not more important, to the actual mistake itself. So,
And if I can tag onto that one, that was gonna be one of my issues. I mean, it appears that it was a major breakdown in communications on many levels. And I assume that the police chief has put something in place to fix all those, but I would like to find out exactly what was done.
Yeah, not put it on his letterhead. I mean, he really,
Well, maybe, but, I mean,
he really
seriously.
has zero involvement with the licensing of
It's
that
his employee,
contractor, but yeah.
still his employee. I mean, somebody's responsible for that employee.
Yeah, I've had the discussion. It was passed off to him really as just a budget item, and he hasn't, never really was managing that, but we're
Well,
gonna
then,
address it.
Then.
It started out
then
as-
it kicks up to you as
Right.
being responsible, since he's your employee and he's failing to act on his employee. So then, in that case.
I don't think he
I'm looking for a
understood it.
formal presentation, written presentation of the communication breakdowns and what's been implemented to stop that in this particular issue, because it was horrendous.
Mm.
And if it hasn't been fixed, I mean, it has so many elements to it, that written, verbal, personalities, the whole thing. But, I mean, it's been several months now since the issue started and they first became aware of it, so I assume it's all fixed. I'd just like to see it written down, how it was fixed.
Right.
But I'd like to see that at the next meeting. And my preference was to have the chief present it, because I'm presuming he had fixed it, but you're saying he hadn't.
Yeah, I don't think, no, he hasn't addressed it. In fact, it was never anything that he was directly overseeing. It just passed under a pass-through in his budget that he had been paying, and I don't think he understood the management piece of it, through Boardman Animal Control Services as a contractor.
All right, so I'm assuming that's one of the things that has been fixed.
Yeah.
His understanding of his responsibility.
Right.
But,
Correct.
but once again, I want to see the written confirmation of policy changes
Sure.
and the procedural changes that have been done, because that's as bad as we get town-wise, what we do to people like that. Do you have anything else?
no.
And then, my last thing was just a simple thing, the letter from the fire chief that we're getting rid of the call boxes and stuff. And just a question of curiosity is, how do people get a chance to buy those? Is that part of our property auction in the spring or something like that?
Yeah,
Will
it's
end up-
surplus material. We've had some interest from a few individuals. We've also had some interest with other departments that have no, that would buy them, but
Oh, okay.
have no, I actually discussed this with the chief today to get an idea. They're gonna start to move forward with it and store them in a container that they have on site, and stockpile them. There's the boxes, and then there's, which are, some of those are mounted, but there's also the pedestals, of which, one particular community, the city of Nashua, has expressed interest in both and would be interested in working out something there. So, we can't just say to a resident, yeah, you can have it or buy it, and it has to go through a formal process, but it is declared surplus material.
Okay. I mean, my only other caution is, in the past, we've had instances where we decommissioned stuff and then it had value, but it disappeared before we were able to
Yeah.
achieve that
No,
value.
right.
So
Or we threw it away.
I'm hoping
We
that
have
doesn't happen again.
we have donated one to the Historical Commission at this point. That was one that was actually given to us, donated to us from John Anderson when he was removed off of the Oriental Delight. That particular box was donated to the Historical, and they have it now, and they've done some stuff with it, so.
Good. Good to know they still have value. Nice.
Yeah, a brand new one costs $3,500. That's just the box, not the pedestal. So if there's communities that, you know, in the foreseeable future are switching over to radio boxes, you know, then there's some value there for them too. You know, if they can get it at, you know, reduced costs and they're still operable.
Good, good, okay. That's all I have.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? All in favor? 3-0.
Hey, Ken, before you leave, I want to.
7 a.m. on the 20th.